Hey, what's going on YouTube? Lionel here again. This is my second video for today and most likely my final one. Um, so initially I reviewed Kerosene's Unforsaken. Please go see that. Please check it out. I think it's a beautiful fragrance, very, very well made, and I think a beautiful, beautiful fragrance for the spring, summer. Now I'm going to transition over into sort of a winter fall fragrance that I encountered. I want to give a shout out to Mel, the blend master, for really putting me on this one. I remember smelling this fragrance maybe 2.5 years ago in Saks. They had it there, and I almost bought it then for about 7 times the price I ended up paying for this one. And this one's going to come from the house of David Yurman, and this is David Yurman limited edition. You can see the David. Can you see that? Oh, not as well. This is a tester bottle, so that's why you see the cheap top on it, the cheap plastic top, but it works. So let me start with the presentation. The presentation on this bottle is about as thick as a bottle I've ever seen. It's actually quite attractive. My camera, I don't think, is doing it any justice, but it's sort of this burgundy color, and the bottle is very, very thick, extremely thick, with this gold atomizer that sprays sort of like a Dior bottle. So let's see. This fragrance was actually created in 2011. So I guess that's about when the time I smelled it was in 2011. And it was supposed to be a limited edition, only a few bottles made, one of those stories. And I'll just be honest and tell you, I think, and I've read that there's 2 of these going around. It's the one that you can find on Fragrance Net, which I own, and there's another one. The one I smelled in Saks smells identical to this one. So maybe there's a one that was released in the Saks and then one released somewhere else. The one I own is the one that was in Saks that I originally smelled. So with that said, let me get right into the notes. So in the top, you have geranium, saffron, you have coriander, and you also have raspberry. In the heart, you have jasmine, oud, rose, and you have violet. And in the base, you have musk, sandalwood, vanilla, and suede. And let me tell you right up front, here are the notes that I get. I get the coriander, I get the saffron, I get an initial burst of geranium. The raspberry is a very key player here. I think the jasmine is playing off the raspberry, and the saffron. The rose is pretty prominent. The oud is pretty prominent. Sandalwood is there. The vanilla really doesn't take this fragrance really sweet to me, but that could be, again, the vanilla and the raspberry, and you're definitely going to get a big suede quality type fragrance. So I actually have this here, and let me start off by saying this. If you're a rose oud fragrance and you find Montal, maybe Dior, Isafan, some of the Tom Fords, you find those New York oud a bit too heavy for you, I think this is a really good alternative. If you find those fragrances too expensive, I think this is an unbelievable alternative. If you find, if you're looking for a rose oud fragrance and you really don't want to wear them a bunch, but you want something like that in your arsenal and don't want to spend a bunch of money, I think, again, this is a very, very good option. And actually, I'll tell you this. This is just as good as any other rose oud that I've experienced. And I own quite a bit of those guys. And I'm telling you now, I just think there is just as good. And I'm not taking a swing at anybody when I say this, but I think the cost of a fragrance drives the value of it. So a lot of times what I encounter, or at least what I think I encounter, is when I'm on the pages, Facebook, YouTube, if something isn't expensive enough, it just doesn't get the love that it deserves. I'm pretty neutral on price. I'm a blind guy. So if you put something in front of me and I can check the quality of it, shoes, clothes, I don't really care. Price and name has really no value to me. The only thing that has value is quality. So, and I think this fragrance is a top shelf quality fragrance, and especially when you can get it off of Fragrance Net for $30 shipped to your door. I think that's an unbelievable price. And I think this fragrance for that price is a steal. And I don't use that term loosely. I'm saying that there are not a lot of fragrances out there that I think are steals. Outside of you just finding somebody and getting it for, an urban vernacular crackhead price. FragranceNet is giving these fragrances away. And I just think if you're a rose oud person, even remotely, you should have this bottle in your collection. So let me tell you what this smells like. Upon initial opening, you're going to get a blast of you're going to get a blast of saffron. It's going to be spicy, it's going to be peppery, and it's going to be blended very well with the raspberry note. And this geranium is sort of adding that spice. So if you're a geranium fan, Ombre 114 has a geranium and amber that is one of the best geranium blended notes that I've seen. I'll put this one right there with it. This adds just enough spiciness to this to not take it overly feminine or candy. And I think Yurman did a very good job, or whoever the perfume of this did a really good job of blending those notes and stopping a raspberry at a point where it's raspberry, it's sweet and it's sort of jammy, but it's not over the top where you just be like, okay, this is childish. So I think he stops it from being childish, yet allowing the note to work very well. As it starts to dry down, the spiciness sort of is subdued because the oud comes up. And once the oud comes up, oud and saffron has that quality. So if you don't like that, you got to avoid this fragrance. If you don't like that saffron oud quality, that's like in New York Oud by Bond, then you want to avoid this fragrance. And it's also very, very close to, I think, Black Saffron by Barreto. So as the oud comes up, the spiciness sort of dies down, and the oud and the saffron and the rose just really start to work well. However, it's coupled with this just delicious raspberry note, and this happens for maybe an hour or so. As those notes are playing around, the suede comes up, and it sort of makes the fragrance, almost gives the fragrance a texture. Like you can almost feel the suede when you smell. You can think of suede and what suede smells like. And it's sort of, they did a really good job of the note putting an image in your head. So I think with this one, the suede complements the oud and the saffron and the rose, and are so well blended with this raspberry note that the fragrance is almost seamless as it transitions. So I would say that it may feel linear, but I think it's more layered on than it is linear. You just don't get hard transitions, right? Like, boom, I smell this. Okay, now I smell a heart. Like it just sort of smooths it out. And I think that's what the perfume was reaching for. I don't know, but that's my experience with the fragrance. You're going to get, as it dries down completely, in the 3-4 hour mark, the sandalwood comes in and kind of makes it a bit more creamy. The vanilla is never really a major player in this fragrance for me, which is weird because typically when you have these fragrances, vanilla always comes in and sort of, tries to get a bit of the show, right? It's like, when Bobby Brown in New Edition didn't have a lead, you always know he's there, right? You always hear his voice, sort of. So that's why he went solo. So a lot of times in these fragrances, vanilla wants to go solo. And I think the oud and the saffron and those combinations in the suede really checks the vanilla, much like the geranium and the spicy notes up top sort of checks the raspberry from going over the top. Overall, I'm going to get this fragrance because of the price point high marks. I almost bought it retail at $200. I thought it was a unbelievable fragrance. At $40, it's an absolute steal. I think it's perfectly unisex. And I think anyone who enjoys a rose oud combo would absolutely love this fragrance. If you just get the bias of price out of your head and say that this fragrance was, reviewed by someone popular and you like it, like if you blind sniff this, and I put 5 rose oud fragrances out and you blind sniff this, you wouldn't know that this fragrance was $40, and that is a promise. With that said, so let me go over my my overall rankings. Projection and longevity, so performance, I'm going to give it a 5. Smell, it's like every other rose oud combination out there, so I'm going to give it a 3.5. Um, uh, Versatility is limited to a rose oud fragrance, so I'm going to give it a 3.5. Price to quality ratio, I'm going to give it a 5. Compliment factor, if people compliment your rose oud fragrances, they're going to compliment this fragrance, and I'm going to give it a 5 out of that one. So overall, I'll give this fragrance about a 4. At retail, at its price point, I'm going to give it a 5.5. So just because it's just an unbelievable fragrance at its price. I think it competes with Black Oud from Artal. I think it compares with Dior's Oud, Rose Oud. I think it compares with Kilian's Rose Oud. And I reached for this quite a bit over the fall once I had it. So I wore it for, this is one of the only fragrances I wore for maybe 3 days straight, just to really get a good feel of it. So I went about 2 minutes over where I like to be. Sorry about that. I really appreciate you guys watching. Again, this is David Yurman's limited edition. You can find it on just go to FragranceNet and look for David Yurman. You can find it. You can find it on eBay also. With that said, I greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Please rate, whether it's good or bad. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know what I can do better. And I greatly appreciate you guys' time. God bless.